You want a wild ride? Let me tell you how a self-appointed HOA queen tried to steal the mountain valley my great-granddad carved out of raw Colorado wilderness and ended up triggering the biggest federal takedown of property fraud this state's ever seen. Yeah, that happened. I'd been gone 3 years working oil rigs, grinding out 12-hour shifts from Texas to North Dakota just to pay for Mom's care while Alzheimer's took her piece by piece. When she passed, I figured I'd finally come home, sit on the old porch with a cup of real coffee, and remember how to be a human again. Instead, what I got was steel chains across my own driveway and a sign that said, "Private community, no trespassing." The kicker? My name was on the deed, but some woman named Vivian Ashworth said otherwise. Picture this: 8 multi-million-dollar mansions where wildflower meadows used to run, glass and steel everywhere, green lawns stretching like somebody ordered the fake turf special. The air used to smell like pine and wood smoke. Now it's all fertilizer and someone's $400 perfume. I'm barely out of my truck before this woman, bleach blonde bob, clipboard, Range Rover. The whole Real Housewives with a law degree package tells me I'm trespassing on my own land. "Ma'am, that's my family cabin," I say, trying to keep it friendly. Her smile's cold enough to freeze. Lava. Not anymore. It isn't. What she didn't know, what nobody here knew, is I didn't just inherit a log cabin. I owned the mineral rights under every last one of their precious mansions. But I kept that in my back pocket, because this war was just warming up. I'm Declan Forrester. Deck to anyone who isn't serving me legal papers. I grew up with calloused hands and a backbone built by mountain storms and a family motto that nobody owes you a damn thing. But nothing prepared me for the HOA blitzkrieg that landed in my mailbox the next morning. 47 violation notices, $73,500 in fines, and a threat to foreclose on the cabin if I didn't play by Vivian's rules. My great-granddad's weathered cedar roof didn't match the architectural palette. The 1920s root cellar was in unauthorized structure. Wildflowers, God's own work, were non-compliant landscaping. You know what I mean? They wanted to wipe out a century of history because it didn't fit some HOA fantasy. Turns out, the entire HOA covenant was pushed through just 18 months earlier, paperwork thick as a phone book, legalese for days. So I marched straight to the county clerk's office, found Jolene, who's been around since disco was king, and asked, "Did I ever sign any of this?" She flips through the records, looks me dead in the eye, and says, "Nope, not a single signature. Here's your knowledge nugget. In Colorado, an HOA can't bind you to their rules without your consent." I wasn't part of their club, but they were trying to bulldoze me anyway. A week later, they showed up in force. Viv, her architectural committee, a parade of SUVs, the smell of cologne cutting through the mountain air like chemical warfare. Clipboards out, snapping photos of my cabin, my truck, my firewood pile. I stood up slow, coffee in hand, and told them flat out, "This is private land. Unless you've got a warrant or an invitation, get off my porch." Viv's face went from smug to beet red, but she packed up her committee and left with a parting threat. "You'll regret this attitude, Mr. Forrester." And oh boy, did they escalate. The next day, a blizzard of new violations. Unauthorized outdoor equipment, my granddad's splitting maul and a pile of firewood. Improper vehicle storage, my F-250, and daily fines stacking up like snowdrifts. But their real mistake? The metadata on their inspection photos showed they'd trespassed days before the so-called official visit. That's illegal, and it was about to bite them. You ever hear of a mountain hermit outsmarting a pack of HOA lawyers? Radio Shack still exists out here. I bought a trail camera system, hid them around the cabin. Within 48 hours, I caught Viv and her cronies sneaking around at dawn, plotting how to fake septic contamination and file false environmental complaints on tape. You drag bullies into the light, they start to panic. Right on cue, the county health guy, Earl, a straight shooter, shows up, apologizes for the hassle, and runs full tests. Not only is my septic cleaner than most brand new systems, but I hand him the USB with the trail camera audio. Viv and friends caught on tape scheming to pressure him into selling. Earl's jaw drops. I tell him, might want to let the sheriff hear that. You know, just for fun. What happened next was the plot twist nobody saw coming. News vans, state inspectors, even a guy from the EPA descended on my land. all because Viv orchestrated a media circus, hoping to humiliate me into folding. Joke's on her. I gave the news crew a copy of the trail cam footage and told them to ask Viv about trespassing and filing false reports. Suddenly, the story wasn't about my dangerous cabin. It was about the HOA's criminal harassment. That night, digging through county records, I discovered Viv's scam wasn't new. She'd been running it in Texas, Florida, Arizona. Same pattern every time. Snap up land, set up a shell HOA, harass holdouts, and scoop up property at pennies on the dollar. But she screwed up with me, because while she obsessed over surface rights, she missed the fact that my great-granddad's original homestead patent included mineral rights, and the law says I can access them, even under someone else's house. Suddenly, their million-dollar mansions were million in damages for lowered property values. The law firm? Turns out the senior partner is Viv's husband. Seriously, you can't make this up. But the best part? Every date on their legal filings claimed I'd been causing damage since January, but county records showed I was still in North Dakota until March. Rookie mistake. I brought my findings to Roxanne Blackwood, a property rights attorney with a taste for blood and old coffee. She nearly laughed me out of her office until she saw the mineral rights docs, the evidence of HOA embezzlement, and the federal mining law violations. Suddenly, she was assembling a dream team, an environmental lawyer, a financial crime specialist, and a former FBI agent with a personal grudge against HOA rackets. By the time we filed for an emergency injunction, the feds were already circling. Viv got desperate, hired some private security types who tried to torch my cabin. But Granddad built that place fireproof, and my trail cams caught their license plates. Sheriff Martinez rolled up with backup, loaded up their arson supplies, and said, "Deck, you just handed me a RICO case." And then, like a movie climax, the valley filled with black helicopters, FBI jackets, news vans, the works. Viv, her husband, and half her board got perp walked out of their mansions, faces plastered across every news channel from here to Houston. In the end, the judge sentenced Viv to 25 years in federal prison, $69 million in restitution, and asset forfeiture. Her fake community was dissolved, families got their money back. The land was restored, and the valley was free to breathe again. The new homeowners group runs on volunteer leadership, transparent finances, and one rule: no power-hungry dictators. So yeah, my family's legacy is safe, and this little piece of mountain now helps veterans heal instead of funding some wannabe queen's criminal empire. If there's one thing you take from this story, let it be this: document everything, never back down, and know your rights. Because sometimes the grizzly bear wins. What about you? Ever face down a bully HOA? Or see corruption run wild where nobody thought to look? Drop your story in the comments. Hit that subscribe if you want more David versus Goliath justice. And remember, the law is still on your side, even when it feels like the whole world's stacked against you. Justice, mountain style.